Let me start with the question about Om, which was asked, and then move forward. You said about the last syllable, ma, the sound. So I told you it's a very commonly occurring sound, like yes. So it's positive, it's yes. It's not no. Now, that sound is the most commonly heard sound where people are convalescing after a serious surgery or an illness. You go into those wards, the most common sound you hear is yeah, because this sound has a built-in capacity to heal the tissues, to heal the body and the mind. So that, when you come to music, before you start actually using words, you hum. There's also the last part of Om, that is ma. I saw the other day a video with a young lady saying, hum your way to health and happiness. She says she gets up in the morning and just hums. So this humming is a good practice, and humming basically is the last word, the last syllable of Om. And when you practice Kriya, you'll find that we have a practice called the Brahmari. We precisely concentrate on the sound. It's one of the Kriyas. It's also there in yoga in general. It's called the Brahmari, means bumblebee. So temporarily you become a you make the sound of a bumblebee. So it has a universal meaning, which is the ending of all manifestation, and turiya, which is the state of complete oneness, and there are no different things. It's when the two appear that there is a problem, usually. With one, there is no problem. And also the practical aspect of it having an effect on your body and your mind, and I would go a step further and say it has a great effect on your energy centers, which are the chakras, which when we do chakra dharana we can discuss that. Now I want to go to another Upanishad, which kind of is very interesting because it shows why everybody who says I'm interested in my spiritual progress and so on is not, you don't see actually people moving towards the goal easily. So the reason is, till your spiritual fulfillment becomes your first priority, it's difficult to move. It's not bad, because you need to do many things also on this earth in your role that you are playing. We're all playing a role right now. Now I'm role playing a teacher. Or at home I role play the husband. With friends I role play. With good friends, we all play different roles. So to integrate them is the problem. So therefore, even though we have heard, we have read about people who have attained the spiritual goal, It's not the most important thing in our mind. We have many other things to sort out, which is not bad. I'm just saying. Don't get the illusion that, oh, I have only one point, I have to reach the goal. I think so. You may not be thinking so. We need to sort out various factors. But a beginning is good. A good beginning. Because it's not so much the goal as the journey itself that is enjoyable. If you keep thinking of the goal, you will miss the journey. So the start is as important as the culmination, the beginning. And if the beginning is right, in the beginning is the culmination. I don't know if I'm talking in riddles, but anyway. So this is a story also from one of the principal Upanishads. It's called the Kathopanishad. In the Kathopanishad, what happens is there is a rishi who conducts a yajna. What is a yajna? Yajna. In general, what is yajna? Yajna means an offering of a sacrifice into the fire to fulfill your desires. In physical terms, when you offer the seed of your desire into the yajna Havan Kund, a new child is created. That's also there, physical. And where is the fire? The fire of desire. Without fire you can't do anything. Fire need not be physical fire. When you're angry, you're on fire, right? When you have great desire, you're on fire. We always use the expression fired by enthusiasm. We don't say watered by enthusiasm. To fire. So the fire, Agni, in Latin and in Greek, Igne. Probably the same root, I think. Agni, Igne. From ancient times, this fire has been worshipped as the great receiver of sacrifices. And it's also reflected in the digestive fire, the fire of desire, fired by the desire, and so on. So anyway, this rishi conducted a yajna, a sacrifice, which involves a lot of rituals and offering in the fire. And he had invited a lot of experts on the Brahmana part of the Vedas, who are the experts in rituals. Many learned people, priests and so on, were invited for the yajna. Now this rishi had a son who was barely 8 years old, whose name was Nachiketas. Now, what you should note is there is no meaningless word in Sanskrit. Every noun has a meaning. So, Nachiketa in Sanskrit means Na-achiketa, one who does not know. Which means the starting point is one who does not know. This Nachiketas at the age of 8 was watching his father perform the yajna. And then when those who come to perform the yajna, they have to be given gifts. So the yajna was over, and all the priests who had come were going, and his father gifted them various things. And this little boy was watching in wonder, because he was giving them gifts of cows which no longer gave any milk, cows which were blind. In those days, cows were very valuable. They are the mainstay of an agricultural community. If you have many cows, it's like owning a Mercedes. Those days, not now. Now, Um, he was giving away lame cows and blind cows and cows which were about to die and cows who had no milk, and something entered into his head. Kind of a spark of enquiry. The Upanishads called Shraddha. Shraddha is variously translated as enquiry, attention, faith. And he thought to himself, what kind of a man is my father? They have been here for 3 days performing this, and he gives them useless things which are not useful for him. Rejected things, giving as a gift to those wise guys, learned people who have come. This is not right. So he summoned up enough courage. Nowadays, children of 8 don't need to summon up any courage. Summoned up enough courage and asked his father, okay, I am your nearest and dearest possession. Who will you give me to? Serious question. Enough to confound somebody. I am your dearest and nearest. Who will you give me to? And the Upanishad says that the father, in anger, I find it a little difficult to believe this, that Rishi could have got angry, but anyway, in anger, there are many interpretations to this. In a fit of anger, said, I give you away to death. So he thought that was a very terrible question to ask, that too in front of all the priests who were going. He was ashamed. He said, I give you away to death. Because the father was a man who has done a lot of tapasya before, a lot of penances and so on, his words had that power. You know, a great yogi that I know used to say that if you don't utter a single lie for 12 years, even if you say something which is not accurate, inaccurate, might turn out to be true. So this man was possessed with that much of penance. So when he said, I give you away to death, Nachiketas died. And it was a sudden occurring, according to the Hindu system of thought. The souls are taken to the world of the Lord of Death, Yama. So there is one Lord of Death who sits in some realm called Yama. Yama also means rules and regulations, which means one rule 100% applies to all human beings, death. So the great Yamaraj, the king of health, is supposed to receive the souls and then give them what they require or need, and then they come back. This was so sudden, according to the Upanishad, that Yama had gone to collect another soul somewhere. He didn't know this was coming. There was a young boy's soul, Nachiketas, landed in his consulting room, office room of Yama. And Yama had gone somewhere else. 3 days he waited. After 3 days, Yama came back and he was very shocked and unhappy. He said, this is not right. According to our principle, Atiti Devo Bhava, a guest should be welcomed like a god. And here you are sitting for 3 days in my office, front office of course. I haven't asked you, did you have water? It's there in the Upanishad. I didn't ask you whether you want water. I didn't look after your comforts. I didn't take care of you. So I'm very sorry. God of death. So this young brahmachari with a shining face sitting in his office, Yama says to him, so please, as a compensation for my inattention to you and disrespect, I know which lineage you come from, I would give you the opportunity to ask for 3 boons. Boon, you know what is a boon? What? A boon is a wish. that you have which can be satisfied by the gods or whatever. Ask me for 3 boons and I will grant them to you in compensation for 3 days for 3 boons. First one, of course, being a young boy, the first wish he has is he says, "Oh Lord of Death, when I go back to the earth," so which means he knows he's going back. "When I go back to the earth, may my father receive me with love and affection." And like a simple boy, and also may he recognize me when I go. That means something is going to happen here which is going to make him slightly not easy to recognize. You know, when a spiritual something happens inside, everything changes, even the cells change, in my understanding. So when I go back, may my father recognize that this boy with a shining face is my son and accept him back without anger. That is his first wish. That's simple. So Yama says, granted. Okay. Second, some say that there is a heaven where people after death go and live for a long time in happiness till they're supposed to come back. They get knowledge to go beyond. Is there some way I can find that? Is there a yagna, a sacrifice I can perform which will take me to that world of bliss? Yama says, yes, granted, I give you that. And he describes the fire of spiritual earning and awakening as the fire in the belly that goes up. And he said, from now on, this fire will be called the Nachiketa Yagna, in your name. The burning of all desires before one is free, that we will call the Nachiketa Yagna, because in memory of your asking me this question. Granted. Now comes the third question. Third question, Nachiketas says, some people say that after death there is nothing. It's like a watch mechanism. He didn't say watch, I'm saying. It works and it stops and that is the end of it. Which means in those days that concept was still around. Some say that something exists after this, after the body is gone. And that thing comes back again and again, and it is immortal. Can you teach me about that, which is the immortal element in me, which never is born and never dies, so that I am free of death forever? Free of you, he says, forever. Can you teach me this? This is my third wish, final wish. Yama smiles and says, well, young man, he didn't use the same words. Now this is a very difficult question to be answered. So I can give you some substitute for this, right? I can give you rulership over all the 3 worlds. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka. I mean the 3 worlds. This world, the next and that beyond. I will give you ownership and lordship of all this. I will give you all the wealth that the god of wealth has, Kubera. I will provide you with dancing girls and entertainment and a big band that continues to play while you enjoy. But don't ask me this question. This I don't want to give you now. I can give you all these things. Nachiketas says, if this is such an important thing that you are ready to give anything instead of that and not this, I want only that. I don't want anything. In fact, in the Upanishad, he says, keep your dancing girls and bands to yourself. I don't want them. I want that. I want to know that immortal element in me which is never born and therefore never dies. Is there something like that? Teach me. Lead me to this. What I'm trying to say, somebody comes to me and says, I want moksha, I want kaivalya. You say, look man, this is a very tall order. Huh? I have a substitute for you. There's a nice Land Rover outside. Here are the keys. How many people would refuse? It's yours. Take it. I would rather go for the Land Rover than for moksha, which is in the air. You don't. A bird in the hand is worth two in a bush, old saying. Nachiketas was a student who first questioned his father, which means questioning the norms that existed then. Two, his only desire was to find that truth in himself, which is beyond death, which is an immortal element of oneself. He was not interested in anything. Dancing girls, bands, wealth, I don't care. So what I'm trying to say, well, it's a good idea to inquire and try to find out. Practice to make your mind clean and quiet so that you touch it. Please remember that a time comes when that becomes your only priority, then you will touch it anyway. Not before that, so don't get dejected. This is what I'm trying to say. Everybody is not Nachiketas, right? Apart from that, nobody wants to say I am Nachiketa, I don't know. Everybody knows. So everybody knows, and what can we do? We cannot do anything. This is why I wanted you to look at that Upanishad. Interesting. And then as it goes on, Yama talks to Nachiketas and tells him about that immortal element which is in all of us, and that it doesn't die because it was never born, and that it is the essence of the universe and there are no many, there is only one. And then he says something very significant. He says there is, after you have understood this theoretically, there's one thing which is a bridge between this world and that which is immortal. Between this identity of yours and that which is the universal, which is also your essence, and that is Om. I think that is the key lesson to take from the Kathopanishad. He says there is a sacred word called Om, which is the bridge between this world and that. And he describes that Om to him. So the sound of Om is that which takes you out of being caught in this, entangled in this world, and frees you to go to the level where you are in true freedom, because you are truly free. So when you go back, try and read the Kathopanishad. Many translations are available these days. Well, I would prefer you read a simple translation. When I say simple translation, means a direct translation, which doesn't lean this way or that way. So that's what I wanted to say.